Hello everybody, my name is Laney Shaughnessy, and with Vectric V10.5 10.5 being released recently, there's been some changes that need to be done to the Vectric software, to the tool database, and setting up your laser tool, as well as setting up and updating your Planet-CNC TNG software. Now there's a lot of facets to this, so I'm going to try to make this as easy to understand as possible. Currently, most of you probably are using your Vectric software and your Planet-CNC TNG software with no issues and everything. And some of you may be on a older version of the Planet-CNC TNG, which we call V1, version 1, which is the 2018.9.17 version. This video is going to walk you through downloading the new setup files for your machine, which has the latest version of the Planet-CNC TNG software. It has the required profile folders for all the different operations of your machine, as well as the new operations for the laser module that's available now with Vectric V10.5. The changes that we're going to make in the TNG software are just to get you up to date with your TNG software and your profiles. And then with regards to the new 10.5 of your Vectric software, which is completely unrelated, that's your CAD/CAM design software, we're going to go through updating the post processors and then adding the new digital laser module tool to your tool database so you can use that new digital laser module that is available as an add-on with the 10.5. Again, there's a lot of facets to this. I don't want to make it confusing, so just follow along with me step by step and you should be fine. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we need to acquire our machine's setup files from the Digital Wood Carver website. So let's start with going to digitalwoodcarver.com and then going over to the Owners menu and clicking on Support and Downloads. Once we get to the Support and Downloads page of the website, we're going to end up scrolling down to the Software Setup Files section of the website, and we're going to look for our particular unit, our particular machine. Now my machine is a 2440. So I'm going to download the 2020 setup files that have been updated as of this past weekend, as of July 10th. And they've been loaded in here for you to download. But I'm going to find my appropriate machine just like you're going to find your appropriate machine, whether you have the 1824 mini carver, the 2440 3-axis or 4-axis package, our DWC 48, or our DWC 5100. You're going to download the appropriate setup files for your machine. So in my case, it's going to be the 2440 V2 setup files. V2 refers to version 2 of like the TNG and everything. So we're going to go ahead and click download, and that's going to take us to a downloader, and the files are big. There's a lot of setup files and everything in the folder, so it's going to be too big to scan. But they are safe, so we're going to go ahead and click on download anyway, and that's going to start the download. Now if you're in Google Chrome, such as I am, it'll start downloading in the bottom left corner of the screen. If you are in Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge, it's going to either ask if you want to run or save. You want to save. If it gives you that option, do you want to run or save, you're going to choose the option to save, and you're going to save it to most likely your downloads folder. Okay. Once the files are downloaded, we can then open them up, and they're going to open up in our File Explorer window. Now these are a zip file, so we need to extract them. If you have a Windows 10 newer model computer, the extraction tool is built into your File Explorer window. So we'll get a button over here that says Extract All. Now if you're in a Vista, Windows 7, 8, 8.1 or something, and you have like a WinZip program installed on your computer, you're going to use your WinZip program to unzip that file folder and everything to your downloads. In the case of here, I've got it built into the File Explorer. I'm just going to click on Extract All, and then I'm going to click on Extract in the Extraction Wizard. This is going to throw to my Downloads folder, so we'll go ahead and click Extract. Now, once it's complete, once the unzipping is complete, it's going to open up another File Explorer window with that unzipped folder. So you'll see that pop up here in a second. Here it is. And it popped up behind my main screen, so I'll minimize that, and here it is. We can tell that this is an unzipped folder because there's no zipper on the file folder here, and we don't have our extraction tools in the top menu bar anymore. So in the case of my file folder, it's the DWC 2440 V2 setup files. Yours could be the 1824 or the 4848 or the 5100. So you'll have your, depending on your machine. And so we want to go into these setup files here. Now, the first thing we need to do is, if you are currently running Planet-CNC TNG, whether it be an older version or not, you want to make sure that your Planet-CNC TNG windows are closed, that none of them are open and everything. Okay, so if you are updating your Planet-CNC TNG software, you're not doing a new install, a fresh install, with a new machine. You're updating your current software so you can use your Vectric, 10.5, laser module, or you just want to update your software. Before you do that, what we need to do is we need to write down or make some notes of some key items within our settings to make sure that the new settings that we're going to be installing throughout this video, that they match. Okay, so what we want to do is, if you have created shortcuts once before on your, and you've got shortcuts to open up mill mode and laser mode and fourth axis mode and things like that, you want to make notes of, the setting files, and there's some key areas that we want to adjust and find out. So, alright, so if I open up my software before I do any installs or anything like that, I'm going to open up my software and I'm going to go to the File menu and Settings in my TNG software. Okay. In Shortcuts, you'll find shortcuts in here. In Shortcuts, we want to scroll down to the jog section, and you want to make note of your X minus X positive, Y minus Y positive, Z minus Z positive, what those jog pins are here. In my case, it's a newer machine, so it's 214365. Yours, if it's an older machine, could be 123456. You need to write that down, whatever yours is, because when you install the new software that we're going to do, you're going to need to change these appropriately. Now, they're set up for newer models, 214365, and if that's what you have, good. You don't need to make any changes. But if it's 123456, you need to go through and change. Let's say that I had to change this. I would click on here, and I would blank out these 3 dashes here. I would blank all of these out, going all the way down the list, blanking them out with the 3 dashes at the top of the box. Just click on it and click on it. And then for my axis X minus, make sure I'm in the right row. I would be coming through and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I skipped that one. 5 and 6. Right? If I had an older model machine, it would be in that order. Okay. But in my case, it is not, so I'm going to put that back the way it was. I have a newer model machine, so mine are basically kind of backwards. It's jog 2, 1, 4, 3, 6, 5, right? That's my setup. Yours is, you got to look and see. Write it down because you're going to need to make those changes when we install the new settings. Okay. All right. So shortcuts, that takes care of what we need to change in the shortcuts. Motors, steps per unit in motors. Make sure that your X, Y, and Z and A numbers, write those down because it could be 833.33 or it could be 3333.33. Your Z could be 20,000 or 4,000 and things like that. So open up your steps per unit and write down your X, Y, Z, and A steps per unit numbers because you're going to need to make them match in the other side. Okay. Under input output, make sure is output number 1 checked or unchecked for your existing software, right? If it's unchecked, then you uncheck the new software. So write down that for your output number 1. Is it checked or unchecked? Under spindle, which is under input output, spindle, do you have a water-cooled spindle or do you have a router? If you have a router, your output pin is going to be 3-00. If you have a water-cooled spindle, that's going to be set up to output number 6, a minimum of 0, a maximum of 24,000, and your start delay is going to be 10. Okay? So these settings, write them down. Write down what you have. If you, again, this is if you're updating. Write it down because you're going to have to make those changes in the new software. All right? Those are the 3 key main areas. We've got our the shortcuts, motor steps per unit, input output, spindle. For you mini carver owners only, DWC 1824, motor drivers. Okay, motor drivers. You want to click on that. Now, write down what your current motor driver is, in your old one. Most likely it's going to be set to 2.3. This is if you have a DVR control board. If you have an Echo, then the current box is going to be grayed out. So you won't be making any changes in there. But if you have a DRV or DVR board, then that current needs to be 2.3. 2.3. Now I can't type in this because mine's grayed out, but 2.3 is your current. If you do not put that 2.3 in, if you have a DVR board, your motors will act all funky. They won't operate. They're not getting enough current and everything. So write it down. Write down what you have because you got to make that change in your other software. All right, so those are your key main things. Mini carvers, don't forget your motor drivers. Change that. Mini carver owners. Now let's go ahead and get into the install of the new software, the update, and get all of our profiles and everything set up and move forward. And we want to go into the Planet-CNC TNG software files here, and we want to open that folder up. Now in this folder there is the latest download from Planet-CNC for the program that we want to run and actually install. And then there are some profile folders for the different profiles of your machine. One of them being the new profile for that PicLaser, for that laser picture module and everything. So those profiles have been created. So what we want to do is we want to open up the Planet-CNC Win 2020-618 folder. And we want to open that up. And we want to click on the install. And we want to run that. Now, when you click on that install file, it's going to open up the installation wizard. And because it is so new, your window protected PC might come up. You want to click on more info here and click run anyway. It's because it's a new release. It just got released this past month and everything. So you want to just click on more info and run anyway. And that will open up the installer for the program. Now once that installer opens up, it's going to ask for permission to make changes to your screen. You're going to say yes, and then once you do, the wizard will open up here. Now wherever it the default folder that it's going to is your program files folder here, and you want to go ahead and just kind of click next through the program. So you want to go next, next, install, and let it install that program. Alright, so once that install is complete, we need to back up one folder, and if we look at the top bar here, this is kind of a root directory of where we were. And so I just want to back up to the Planet-TNG Software Files folder here by clicking on that. That'll take me back one folder. You can also use your up arrow in the right hand corner that will take you back one folder as well, or left hand corner, I'm sorry, that will take you back one folder as well. And we have a folder called the DWC, in my case, 2440 profile folders. Yours would be appropriate for your machine. And in here we have a variety of profile folders, including the new PicLaser profile for the new Vectric V10.5 picture module, the laser module for laser engraving pictures and things. Now, here's where it starts to get just a little bit could be confusing, so just follow along with me, and I'll make you understand. But the first thing we want to do is, before we go and take these files and put them in the Planet-CNC folder, we might already have TNG and things, and we need to go into our Planet-CNC folder, and we need to grab our license file. This could be for you, and that's why this trying to make this video is because you might be doing a brand new install right from scratch. You just got your machine, and your license file, your key code, your license key code for the Planet-CNC software, that's going to be on the flash drive that came with your machine, and that flash drive is zip tied to the control box of the power cord on the control box of the 2440, or if you have a mini carver, it's zip tied to the top of the motor on the Z-axis motor. But you'll find a black and silver flash drive. It could be a different color, but it's usually black and silver, that will have your license code and things like that on there. But if you are updating your current version of Planet-CNC TNG and getting it up to date, then your license file is already in the Planet-CNC folder. You've already imported it at some time, back when you installed it. Now you have a choice. You can use your flash drive if you still have it and you haven't lost it. You can use your flash drive to get your license code, or we can go get our license code, from our TNG folder. So I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to back up from this folder, and I'm going to go down to the C drive, Program Files, and Planet-CNC. Now in the Planet-CNC folder, if you go into the Profiles folder, now I have a lot of profiles because I create all the codes and profiles for you guys and girls, but you won't have that many. But either inside of your default folder or inside of your particular profile folder, you're going to have a license.lic file if this is an update, if you're updating. And what we want to do is we want to take that file and we want to copy it somewhere to our desktop or somewhere, because we're going to need it later during the install of the update. So I'm going to just right click on this license.lic and I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to I'll go into my documents here, and let's create a new folder here, and I'll call this Planet-CNC TNG license. So I'm just picking a place so that I can paste my license file in. That way I have it for later. But again, you can do this route, or if you still have your flash drive, you can get your license file off the flash drive. Either way. Okay. Let's go ahead, and now that I've done that, now I'm safe to go back to my downloads and back into my 2440 setup files folder and back into that Planet-CNC TNG software files folder, and then my profiles folder, and get back where I was, right? So I'm here now. And I want to take, even though I may not have a laser or a probe or whatever, I'm still want to take all of the profile folders, and I want to highlight all of them, and I want to right click and I want to choose copy. Okay. Now where you are going to put those files are on your C drive, program files, and then Planet-CNC. In that Planet-CNC folder, you're going to click on the profiles folder and you're going to paste them in there. Now, if you are updating, okay, so I need you to kind of understand where we're at. If you have a new install, if it's a new install here, you're not going to have any profile folders or anything in here. You're just going to have a default folder, and you're going to paste those files in there with that default folder. If you're doing an update, you already have TNG and you're just updating it to the latest version, you may already have your profile folders in this this folder here. They might already be there along with the default folder. You're going to want to remove them. Okay, do not delete the default folder. Okay, only delete the profile folders, because we're going to paste and replace them with the new ones. Okay, so in my case, since I create all the profiles and everything, I actually have a different folder that I'm going to put mine in, and that's going to be my Planet-CNC V2 2020, which has nothing to do with you. Now in my profile folders, this is a new install, so you can see I only have a default folder here, right? So I want to come in and I'm going to right click and paste, and when it asks me about pasting and providing administrative permission, I'm going to check the box that says do this for all current items, and I'm going to click continue. Okay, so roughly there's about 166 items that it will paste all those profile folders in there and everything. And what you should have is all your profile folders, and here's the names of them. You have a 4th axis mode, laser mode, mill mode, PicLaser mode, and probe mode, right? So you should have those in there. Now you should also have your default folder. Now if you are doing a new install like I just did, inside your default folder under the scripts folder, that folder should be empty, right? If you are doing an update, from an older version of TNG to the new one, you need to go into your default folder, you need to go into your script folder, and if there's any files in there, you need to highlight all of them and delete them. This folder needs to be empty. The new version of Planet-CNC TNG does not work off of scripts that are outlined in a script folder. They're kind of built in now. So we need to empty out the scripts folder inside of our default. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go back to profiles here, and I've got all my profiles and everything, and we're good there. So now I want you to notice the names here. DWC, in my case, 2440. You would replace that 2440 with your number, 1824, 4848, 5100, whatever. It's underscore V2 underscore and 4th axis underscore mode, or laser mode, or V2 mill mode, or PicLaser mode. These names are important because our next step is we're going to be creating the desktop shortcuts. And when we tell these shortcuts where to point to, we have to type in these names exactly as they're typed right there. Okay, we have to make sure that the uppercase and lowercase are typed exactly correct, that we type everything exactly as you see with the underscores. I mean, it's just got to be, toe-to-toe perfect. Okay, so now I've pasted in my profile folders in my Planet-CNC software. Now I can go ahead and close out of the File Explorer. I can minimize any window that's open, and I need to get back to my desktop. Okay, and anywhere in blank space on the desktop, we want to set up our shortcuts for our program, for our Planet-CNC program. And so we're going to go in here, and I'm going to right click anywhere in a blank space on my desktop screen, and I'm going to go down to New, and I'm going to choose Shortcut. Now the first wizard window that pops up is looking for a file location. Basically, it's looking for where the Planet-CNC program file is. So I'm going to go to Browse, and on the little window that pops up, I'm going to click on this PC, C drive, Program Files, and then Planet-CNC. And Planet-CNC 64, that's the program that I want. Now, you may be in an older model computer, so yours might say Planet-CNC 32. You might have a 32-bit computer versus a 64, but either one, that's the file that we want. Planet-CNC 64 or Planet-CNC 32 if you have a 32-bit computer. But that's the file we want, and we would click OK, and that would be the location of where that file is located. This shortcut's going to point to that file to open up the program, right? So we would click Next, and now it wants us to name the shortcut. And I'm going to be kind of stringent with the name and everything. I want the name to represent the different operations of what we're doing here. So in my case, I'm doing mill mode. Mill mode is when you're carving on your normal table. So it's going to be DWC. You can put your model number if you want, or just DWC, either one. But in my case, I'm going to put 2440, and I'm going to put an underscore, and I'm going to say mill underscore mode. Okay, so I've created this name for this shortcut. So I can go ahead and click Finish, and it's going to say for me, hey, that name already exists, right? Because you see all these shortcuts on my desktop. I've already got all of these that I've created for you guys over the past years and stuff. So I've got to name mine something slightly different, but you want yours to be named, mill mode. In my case, I'm going to throw in the V2 at the end of the 2440, and I'll click Finish there. And so that's going to create this shortcut here that you can move anywhere you want on your screen. Now, you would continue doing this if I had a laser, if I had a fourth axis, if I had the probe. We're going to continue creating the shortcuts for each of the operations that apply to us. Okay, so in my case, I'm going to go ahead and go New Shortcut. I'm going to once again click on Browse, this PC, C drive, Program Files, Planet-CNC, Planet-CNC 64, and I'm going to click OK. That's the program. And then I'm going to click Next, and I'm going to give this one a name. And in this case, I'll go DWC 2440. Again, I've got to use the V2 because of my files already that I have. So I'll just go V2 underscore, and this one's going to be laser underscore mode, right, for my laser. And I would create one for my laser, one for my picture laser if I have the new 10.5 laser module, right? So we'll click Finish on that one, and so that'll be my laser mode. And I do have the new laser module, so I'm going to do that one as well. So we're going to go New Shortcut. Once again, we're going to point to this PC, C drive, Program Files, Planet-CNC, Planet-CNC 64, and we're going to go Next, and I'm going to name this one DWC 2440. I'll put the V2 in there, underscore PicLaser. This is my new laser module, 10.5. This is the new profile for that. And PicLaser mode, pic, PicLaser mode. That's the new profile that I'll be running if ever I'm using that laser module in the Vectric 10.5. So we'll click Finish, and that'll create that shortcut, and I'll drop that here. And I would continue on. You can either create all your profiles, so there would be two more here, one for fourth axis and one for the probe mode, or you can just create the shortcuts that you need for your setup. But if you are using the laser, if you own the 6-watt digital laser most likely you've already got a laser mode profile. You need to create the shortcut for the PicLaser mode as well, because it's going to be two completely different operations. Okay, so I've got my shortcuts here for my three operations that I want to use, but you know, the shortcuts, creating them isn't completely finished. I've got to now tell it what folder to point to. So I got to right click on my properties, or right click on my shortcut, my shortcut, and I got to go down and left click on properties to get the properties window to open up. Now in that properties window for the first shortcut, which is my mill mode, the target already has the target where it's pointing to for the program, but now I need to tell it specifically what folder, what profile folder to point to. So I want to click my mouse right behind the last quote mark, the very end of that target file, and I want to put a space. I want to type in a hyphen, a dash if you will, and the letter P, and then I want to put another space. Okay, so space dash P space, and then I need to put the name of the profile folder. And the profile folder name is DWC 2440 underscore V2 underscore mill underscore mode. Okay, and where we got that name, once again, if we came in to the this PC, C drive, program files, your Planet-CNC folder, profiles, those profiles that we pasted in there, that name, in my case I just typed in the 2440 underscore V2 underscore mill mode. The capital letters are important, the placement of those underscores are important. Okay, so that target name that we type in there has to match that folder name. Okay, once you have that in there, you're going to click apply and click OK. Now that shortcut is pointing to that profile folder. Okay, so we're going to do that again on my second shortcut here. This is my laser mode, my regular laser mode. So I'm going to go to right click on it, left click on properties, and again I'm going to put my mouse behind the cursor there, behind that last quote mark on the target. I'm going to hit the space bar, dash P, space bar, and this one is DWC 2440 underscore V2 underscore laser underscore mode. Okay, capital L, capital M, right on the laser and mode. We're going to click apply, and then that one's done. Now that one's going to be pointing to that profile folder. And so for my last one more time, properties, and put my mouse behind that last quote mark, put a space, dash P, another space, DWC 2440 underscore V2 underscore PicLaser, no spaces, underscore mode. Okay, PicLaser, PICLASER, and the P and the L are capitalized. So I'm going to click apply and OK. So now each of those profiles are set up. Okay, now you may once again not be creating a new install like I'm showing here. You might already have your profiles and your shortcuts, your profile shortcuts already on your desktop. Like you can see here, I have my previous shortcuts and stuff here. What you would do is you would right click on that shortcut and go to properties, and you would update the name of the shortcut. If it doesn't say the V2 in there and all that stuff, you would update the name properly for that folder, right? But you're definitely going to have to add the new PicLaser if you've got 10.5 from your Vectric and you downloaded that and added, purchased that laser module add-on. This is the new profile for that, the PicLaser profile for TNG. to run that laser in that mode, in that particular mode. Your standard laser that you've been using, if you've had the laser for a while, you know, that's the other profile. All right, so again, I'm trying to make this as simple as possible without being too confusing. Now what we need to do is we need to open up, we're going to start with mill mode, and it's rinse and repeat these things that we're doing, but we're going to start with mill mode, and we're going to open up our mill mode. And you're going to click yes when it asks about making changes to your computer, and basically it's asking permission to open and make changes. You're going to click yes. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice within the software is it may automatically open up, and it may automatically pull in the proper profile. In my case, it says DWC 2440 V2 mill mode up here. It may already grab that information and pull it in and open everything up, and you're set as far as that goes. But it may also open up a grayish blue screen that's not kind of green, gray, and black like this. It might say Planet-CNC up here in the right corner, or it could say 2440 V2 mill mode, but it's not the proper color scheme and things. And what you want to be able to do is make sure that it's pulled in the correct profile. And how we can do that is we can go to our file menu and we can import a profile. And so if I import the profile, that should open me up to my Planet-CNC folder. I'm going to go to my profile folders here, and I need to go to my profile folders here. Sorry about that. Sometimes it doesn't take you right where you got to go, so you got to go where you need to go, and it's Program Files Planet-CNC folder for you. For me, it's something different. So I'm going to go into my profiles, and here's my 5 profiles here, and this is mill mode. So I want to open up the mill mode folder, and you're going to see a zip file in there called DWC 2440 or 1824 or 4848, whatever your machine model is. You're going to see a zip file in there, and that is your profile folder. You want to click on that, and you want to click open, and your screen should change, and you will be all set there. Okay. All right. So you want to open up that zip file. All right. Now, once we've done that, currently when you import this in, your profile in and the screen set up, you're in what's called simulation mode. Now, what that means is that if I go into File Settings here, on my connection, connecting to my computer, my connection, I'll be in simulation mode here. We need to connect to our board. In the case of this, if you do not see your control board listed under the word simulation down here, that means either you're not connected, your USB is not connected to your computer. You have to be connected to your machine when you're installing this software. Either that it's not connected to it, or maybe the driver didn't load properly. But if we plug in our board to our computer here, when that board loads, when we plug our board into our computer and that board loads, we should get the control board to list under here. Okay, whatever your control board is. All right. Now, right off the bat, you may or may not be able to double click on it and put it up in the primary controller to replace the the word simulation in that primary controller. If you double click on your board, it should put it up in there. If it doesn't, that means that we have to take a moment and update the firmware first and then come back and do this. So if you double click on your board and it does not put it up in the primary controller, then simply cancel out of the settings window, come to the machine menu, over to controller, and click on firmware update and run the firmware update. Okay. If it does in fact let you, when you're in the settings, if it does in fact let you double click on your board and put it in the primary controller, then you simply just click OK, and in the bottom of your screen you're going to see your light either turn green with an X in it or red with an X in it. The bottom right hand corner of the screen down here. My board has a red X. It's a red circle with a gray X in there. The gray X means that I haven't installed the license code yet, which we haven't done. The X means, or the red light means that my firmware needs to be updated. So I'm going to go to the machine menu, controller, and then firmware update. It's going to say that my controller board is going to be updated, and I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to run that firmware update. So you'll see that firmware update run in the bottom right corner, and then when it's finished, it should say successful if everything went well, and you're going to click OK. And now you should, at the bottom right corner of your screen, you should have a green light with a gray X. Again, that X means we have not put in our license code yet, which we haven't. That's the next step. But the green light itself means that we are communicating with that control board, with our control box or our CNC machine. The X just means, hey, I got to put the license code in. So we want to go to do the license now. If you copied your license.lic file and put it on your desktop or in your documents, that's where we want to go to get that file. But if this is a new install, then you're just going to pull the license code from your flash drive. Now, if you pull the license code from your flash drive, when you open that file up in your flash drive, it's going to open up in a text document, and your license code is going to look like this. It's going to say key code, and it's going to have a key code and everything. You're going to want to select that entire key code, right click and copy it. And then you're going to go to the help menu, license management license. You're going to click on import, and it'll automatically paste that license code that we copied in there, and you're going to click OK. Now in my case, I got what's called a parsing error in the file. That's because there's too many spaces and things in the file, but also I'm using a fake license code, so therefore it's not going to parse properly and stuff. But yours will load in there. You'll click OK and then close, and you should get a green light with no gray X. Now, if you had that license file that you copied earlier, like we did, and moved to your desktop, you would do the same thing, license management license, but you would click on import file instead of import. So if I click on import file and I go to my desktop and I go down to my license file, which I'm sorry was in my documents, and I go to my Planet-CNC license file here, that LIC, license.lic file. We'll click on that and click open, and then it'll put your license code in. Now mine's not verified because I'm not using the correct license code once again, but yours will be verified, and it'll show your license code. You'll click close and you'll be all done. You'll get a solid green light with no gray X in there, and you'll be all set. I'm not using proper license codes and stuff right now. This is a simulation and everything, so I'll still have my little green X down there, but you won't. You'll have a nice bright green light. Okay. All right. So now that you've done that, we are then going to exit out of the mill mode, go back to our desktop, and we're going to rinse and repeat and do the same thing for the other two profiles. So I'll open up my laser mode here, click on that, click yes. When it asks for permission, click yes. And when that opens up, again, it may automatically pull that profile in exactly like it's supposed to. If it does, you'll have a kind of, with the laser, you'll have a kind of a blue background. It'll say V2 laser mode up here, 2440 or 1824 or whatever you have. If you don't, if it doesn't pull it in automatically, you go to File, Import Profile. You're going to navigate to your appropriate profile folder. In this case, it's the C drive, Program Files, and Planet-CNC. For me, it's not, so let me get in there. And then in your Planet-CNC file folder, you're going to go to Profiles. And in this case, this is laser mode, not PicLaser mode. It's laser mode. So I want to open that up, and I want to grab that zip file and click open. And that's it. Your screen will change. And then once again, rinse and repeat. We go to File, Settings, Connection. We double click on our board and put it in the primary controller. And we click OK. And Help, License Management, License. You're either importing the license code that you copied from your flash drive, or you are importing a file from wherever you pasted your file, if this is an update. So if you're updating from an older version of TNG to the new, then you're going to most likely be importing that file. If this is a new install for you, then you're going to copy your license code from your flash drive, and you'll be importing and pasting that license code in. So, you know, don't get confused. There's a lot of gamuts here, and I'm trying to cover all bases, whether it's a new install or an update. Okay? And once you do that, you'll get your green light and everything. And in my case, again, I've still got my X down here because I'm not using license codes and all. Again, this is a simulation. And once that's done, you can exit out of that one and rinse and repeat and do the same thing for your whatever other profiles. In my case, it's PicLaser mode now, right? So I need to open that up. Click yes. You need to click yes when it asks for permission. And it'll automatically pull that profile in. But if it doesn't, if you have a screen that does not look like this and it doesn't say PicLaser mode in the top, or it just says Planet-CNC, then you need to come over to File, Import Profile. You need to navigate to your appropriate profile folder. In my case, this is PicLaser mode, and you want to click on that zip file and you want to import that in. Okay? All right. And then once that's done, you're going to go to File, Settings, Connection. You're going to double click on your board and put it in the primary controller box. Click OK to close out of that. And then you're going to go to Help, License Management, License, and you're either importing, copy and pasting from your flash drive, or you're importing the file, you know, a license file that you've already had from an earlier version that you're just updating, right? It's one of the two options. Okay, so that, you know, it's rinse and repeat. You would do all your profiles, whatever you set up. You might have a 4th axis profile, or you know, a probe, you know, profile. Whatever profiles you set up, you want to go ahead and set them up in that way. Okay. And now, if you are doing a brand new install, new machine, new install, at this point, you're done. Okay? As far as it goes, as far as the Planet-CNC TNG software is concerned, you're done. It's all up to date, and you got a green light, you're connected, finished. if you guys and girls are updating from an earlier version of TNG, you have a little bit more work to do, because we have to validate what our current, if these new settings match our old ones. And this is important that they do, such as the motors, steps per unit. They need to match what your old settings were and everything. The input output needs to match what your old settings were and all. So hopefully you took and wrote down that information when we first got started, as I explained to you and everything. You went in and you wrote down those key components and stuff, and as well as your shortcuts. Under the shortcuts, we scroll down to the jog section here, that your shortcuts and everything, make sure that these new settings match. If they don't, make them match what you wrote down from before. It's very important, or else you're going to be calling me saying my pendant's working backwards, or when I hit up it goes down, and things like that. If you don't get your motor steps per unit typed in properly, then you could be saying, I tell it to move 1 inch and it moves 4 inches, or I tell it to move 1 inch and it moves 1/4 of an inch. So it's important that you follow the instructions from earlier in the video, and you've written down those files and all. And hopefully you did do that, because if you're at this point and everything, there's no real kind of going back to see what those settings were. So you'd most likely have to call me and let me come in and connect with you to fix things. Alright, so I don't want to confuse this, I don't want to convolute it, I want to just kind of stay on course here. Just make sure your settings match your old settings if you're doing an update and not a brand new install. If you're brand new installing this, just got your machine, you're just now installing it brand new from your flash drive and things, all your settings are correct. Okay, so you don't need to stress that. Alright, so now that takes care of the TNG side of things and getting the TNG software up to date. And most likely the reason why we're doing this update is we've just downloaded 10.5 and we got the new laser module, and we want to get everything for that. Well, that requires us to do some updating to our TNG software as well, and so that's what I'm walking you through. But let's go into our Vectric. I'll go into VCarve Pro 10.5 here. We'll open that up. And I'm also going to open up a File Explorer window, and I'm going to go back to the download, my downloads and my setup files that I downloaded from the website earlier. And in those setup files, you're going to see a folder called Vectric Setup, right? Vectric Setup. If we look here inside of our Vectric Setup file, we have our Vectric post processors, and these are the up-to-date post processor, including the new laser module. It's called Laser Picture post processor. It's in there as well now. So we have that and everything, and we want to copy all of these. Right click and copy. And in our Vectric software, we want to go to File, Open Application Data folder, My Post P folder, and in that folder, in that My Post P folder, you may already have your post processor files in there, because you've already had 10, you've had 9.5, you've had 10, you're just updating, right? And so what we want to do is, your post processors may already be in there. We're simply going to right click and paste, and it's going to ask us to replace the existing files, we're going to click on replace and replace them. Okay. All right. And once we do that, you want to, anytime you put something or you change the application data folder, you want to close your Vectric and restart it. All right. So now we've just updated our post processors, adding in not only the updated post processor, but adding in the PicLaser, the new laser module post processor. It's in there now. Now we need to get over to our tool database. So I'm going to create a generic job here. And I'm going to come over to my tool database, and we need to add in, our new laser module tool, right? The laser module tool. Now, I've already provided the file for you to import. Now, I already have this in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete this file here. And also, I've added a new, for the 5-piece sign making set, for those of you that got that set or bought that set, there's a new file for that as well. But if we go back into our File Explorer, and I go back to my setup files, my Vectric setup files here, my, not Vectric setup, my 2440 or 1824, my setup files, my V2 setup files. If I look at, there's a folder in those setup files that says router bit tool files. And if I open that up, there are two tool files that are of importance to us. One, if we're upgrading to 10.5, the laser module, and that's the whole purpose of we're going through all this. The laser module tool, that's the important one, right? And then the sign maker bit set is a new tool set that I added for the 5-piece sign making bit set. If you own that, here are the tool settings for that. You can go ahead and bring that in as well. But this is the location, router bit tool files. This is the location of where those two files are at, especially our laser module tool file. So what I want to do is I'm going to generally click on Imperial Tools here, and I'm going to come down and click on Add a New Group. Actually, I don't need to click on Add a New Group. I'm so sorry. I'm going to click on Imperial Tools, and I'm actually going to just click Import a Tool Database, the little import folder. And I'm going to choose the file that I want to import in my downloads, my setup files, and the router bit tool files. I'm going to click on my laser module tool and click open. And it's going to ask me, do I want to import, merge, no overriding, merge, or cancel? I want to merge, no overriding. I want to merge that in there. Okay. Now when it merges it in, it's going to merge it in down at the bottom here. I would recommend bringing it up and dragging it up to the top, or putting it wherever you want. But this is the new settings for the laser module tool, and these settings in this tool should only be used with the 10.5 laser module tool path that you're creating. That tool should only be used. If you do not have 10.5 and you have a laser and you've been doing the profile and pocket cuts and everything, you are still going to be using your digital laser tool settings, your original settings, which the laser is added in as an end mill. So that's your original. You will not change. You won't be using the new laser module unless you are specifically using the new laser module, right? So you really got to drive that home. If we look at our post processors, you will see that the laser picture inch tap is the new one. That is the post processor you would use if you're using the laser module tools. Okay. But if you're using your old style profile and pocket cut with your laser, you still use the digital Wood Carver laser post processor, not laser picture. Keyword picture there, ladies and gentlemen. So really, really, really grasp a hold of this. I'm trying to make it so you understand. And again, you can always call me. Pick up the phone and call or text or whatever if you have questions or need help. Now, by importing into the tool database our new laser module tool, by putting in our post processor, we've now updated our Vectric software to be able to use that 10.5 laser module. Okay. Now, as far as how to use the laser module, well, that's another video. Okay. So I'll create a video showing a basic example of how to, work with that laser module. But getting your software up to date to be able to use it, this is what we've just done. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for paying attention and following along. Until next time, I'll see you soon.